Why does anybody start their business? And I pose that question to a lot of builders, remodelers, young entrepreneurs. And I find it interesting that a lot of them will struggle to give me a solid answer on that. Why do you think that is? Today's guest is a business coach, author, and fellow podcaster. He's an expert at helping contractors find purpose, so they're not constantly consumed with putting out fires or wearing too many hats. It is my pleasure to welcome Scott Beebe, founder of My Business on Purpose. Scott's a good friend, a colleague, a business coach, strategist, and trainer. He is very passionate about helping small business owners liberate themselves from the chaos. Scott, we're kicking off the new year here. How is life down in beautiful Bluffton, South Carolina?
Life is full, and I'll say enriching. I heard somebody say recently that they have suspended the use of the four-letter B word, busy. They won't use that anymore, and instead, they see themselves in a position of constantly learning. So I'll say, yeah, it's full. At the time of this recording, we send both of our boys back to college today, and so we've had a rich time with our kids over the last month or so at break. And it's just been great.
You and I have known each other for quite a few years. We've collaborated together on industry events, seminars. We're going to see each other soon at the International Builder Show in Vegas. That's not very far away. And you have been a repeat guest on the Builder Nuggets podcast, which I co-host with Dave Young, and you have always delivered great advice and insight. So I'm excited to have you join me here for the first in a series of video interviews I'll be working on with Custom Builder Online. And the plan is for us to release these every other month. We're going to discuss a broad range of topics from business matters, best practices, building science, leadership, and a whole lot more. So thanks for stepping up and helping me kick things off.
Of course, man. Always willing to be your guinea pig on these projects. I love it. I love the fact that you're always trying new stuff.
It's a ton of fun, and I appreciate your time for it. So we were thinking that to kick it off for the first topic, it was going to be start with why. I mean, I think most people are familiar with the book out there, the concept of it. But for me, it's been a little bit of, over the last year or so, I've been putting even more thought behind that. And, why does anybody start their business? And I pose that question to a lot of builders, remodelers, young entrepreneurs. And I find it interesting that a lot of them will struggle to give me a solid answer on that. Why do you think that is?
I think it was Michael Gerber who said it. If you don't write it down, it doesn't exist. If you don't write it down, something, I forget what it was, and then we've adapted it to if you don't write it down, it doesn't exist. I think a lot of the times and reasons that contractor owners, entrepreneurs in general, tend to hem-haw a bit when it comes to this idea of mission, or expand it to the futuristic looking vision, or the filtration of values, is because a lot of times we've got these swirling thoughts in our head, but we never make the time to sit and write them down. It's amazing. In fact, I just went through this exercise last week for myself. At least once a year, usually twice a year, I'll go back and I'll do what we call a delegation roadmap. It's a tool that we built for our clients. We actually use it ourselves, where we'll go down and we'll, from scratch, write down every single task that we currently do in our business. If we're taking out the trash, you write it down. If you're vacuuming the rug, you write it down. If you're hanging 2x4s, you write it down. If you're coaching clients, everything that you do, you write it down. And we call it a day of reckoning. Like you gotta reckon with your own schedule because you're doing all this stuff. Well, a lot of the reasons that we don't have clarity on why we're doing what we're doing, let alone how we do what we do, that's usually, Duane, what we assume people are asking. They go, what do you do? We start to launch into telling them like what and how we do what we do.
Yeah.
Instead of, no, this is why I'm doing what we're doing. So you even mentioned at the outset, every ounce of my energy goes into our work for one sole purpose, and that's to liberate owners from chaos so that they can make time for the things that matter most. Why do I remember that? Why do you remember that about me? I've heard you say that multiple times about me, and we only talk a few times a year. How do you remember that about me? It's because it's written down and we repeat it over and over and over again, especially in the days we don't believe it.
And I think a lot of folks in this industry could come from, maybe it was something to where they were a subcontractor, or they were a carpenter, or whatever. And there's some that have not even been in the industry and they've become builders, remodelers. But I mean, I think a lot of them get to that point where they're like, man, I can do this, and I'm just going to go do it, And maybe it's for the reasons of they want some freedom, or they want more time, want more money, whatever it is. It's different for everybody. But I think what I've found is people don't really they don't really fully identify that why in those early stages of building their business, whereas it's more of a, hey, I've just got to get stuff done. You know what I mean? I'm excited. I'm starting a new business. We're just going to do this. And the why sort of gets lost. What are some of those things in those very early days that people need to be thinking about?
This entire month, we just recently passed my Certified Exit Planning Advisory certification. And so we're taking all of our, what we call the OG clients. These are our clients who have been with us 7, 8, 9 years. And we're running them through a sequence of classic, holistic, non-certified business valuation workshops right now. So this entire month, for the month of that we're in right now, we're walking each one of those through a business valuation. Well, before we ever get to the numbers, the EBITDAs, the multiples, any of those other things that determine business value, what we're going back to is something that we taught them 7, 8, and 9 years ago, and that was the construction of a business. And the very first slide that we teach on the construction of the business is what we call the 5 foundational cornerstones. Every business, whether you're selling construction project management services, you're selling ice cream, you're selling sport coach, you're selling bicycles, we don't care what you're selling. Every single business has 5 foundational cornerstones. And they're somewhat in this order if you were to go to work on these things. Number 1 would be an articulated vision story. Now, vision, very simply, and I'll put these in dichotomy to the mission and values so everybody understands, but a vision is nothing more than a detailed snapshot of the future of your business. So I look 3 years out or 5 years out, probably not much longer than that because life moves so fast now. So we usually try to keep that and start at around 36 months. But I want to detail what the business looks like then. And so we've got a vision for our business, about 5-6 pages long. But I'll give you a snippet, and it sounds something like this: 8 coaches serving 120 clients. And now, again, it's a very small snippet of a 5 to 6 page vision that I'm giving you. And in that, we can measure our progress towards that future vision. And our vision is to get there in 2025. Well, at the time of this recording, it's 2024. And currently, we sit at 6 coaches serving 89 clients. And so we can measure what that vision story looks like from there. So then that leads into the second foundational cornerstone, and that's the mission statement. Duane, I'm going to come back to that in just a minute because that's where we'll hang and really tie that to the why that you're talking about. The third are what we call unique core values. So these aren't integrity, respect, excellence. Like those are standard core values. If we don't have those, we just shouldn't be talking.
The ones you find on every builder or modeler's website everywhere.
We'll go back and look at Enron's core values in 2001. That's what they were. Yeah. Integrity, respect, all of that, right? And so the fourth foundational cornerstone, what we call team meetings. Like those very most simplistic things that we all roll our eyes at and just go, oh my gosh, I hate meetings. Meetings stink. There's even a book called Meetings Suck. It's one of the guys that started 1-800-GOT-JUNK. It's a great book, by the way. But we have got to be making time for, we actually call it the Big 5. Team meetings, departmental meetings, executive meetings, monthly check-ins, one-on-one, and then annual performance reviews that are based off of those check-ins. So there's continuity. Basically, it creates an airtight circle where information cannot leak out of that when we start having those. And then the fifth foundational cornerstone is a written and followed hiring and onboarding process. So those last two usually catch people off, the team meetings and then the hiring process. Yes, those are foundational because if you do those two things wrong, the house will implode over time. Let me come back to the mission, the second one that I mentioned. We found that if you give an entrepreneur some constraints, it actually brings them a lot of freedom. So boundaries bring freedom in this segment. And so I'm going to give you some constraints around developing a mission statement that will eventually tell us why you're doing what you're doing. And so we came up with, we want to liberate owners from chaos to make time for what matters most. That's why we're doing what we're doing, is because that liberation makes time for the things that matter. But what we had to do is put some constraints to come with that, because most people's missions sound so ethereal. We want to be the world's best, blah, 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 right? And it doesn't mean anything to anybody. And so what we've done is we said, all right, we're going to give you 10 words. That's all you get. It's 10 words. And the first, we exist to, those don't count. So you can put that in there if you want. We exist to blank. And then tell us why you're doing what we're doing. And then if we give you 10 words and then give you a real estate drill to drill down on your words. So you'll come up with something within 10 words. Hey, we want to be Charlotte's best. Custom builder. Well, the drill then goes into effect and you go, all right, you got within your 10 words, but why? And you keep asking that why drill question. Why? Why Why do you want to be Charlotte's best custom builder? Well, because we want to make Charlotte look beautiful. Why do you want to make Charlotte look beautiful? And it gets a little obnoxious, but once you ask that why question about 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times, you will finally get to the point, Duane, where the person that's working through this, the entrepreneur, the business owner themselves, will finally land on something. That drill will hit something way down beneath the core, and they'll go, oh, that's it. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah. And so once we have that within the constraint of 10 words, and we start to use that why drill all the way down, and we find out, that will help us to begin to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And quite frankly, that's the thing that motivates us to buy from you and to be a part of what you're doing.
Well, we've talked about it on my podcast many times. It's the magnet. It's the things that are going to attract the people that you want, the clients that you want, the right types of projects, teammates. How important, when you're really building this vision, how important is it to include the other members of your team?
Yeah. So there's mixed bag on this, and we've seen both work. Sometimes, to be honest, Duane, the team is so immature, and I don't mean that in an ugly way. I'm saying they're immature to the reality of organizational leadership. And so sometimes you'll have team members come in and you bring them into this process, and it really derails it. And what you'll end up leaving with is just a bunch of mush with nothing concrete. What we would rather do is for an owner to come up with this themselves, use it for a while, 6 months, 12 months, and then you're going to come to a point where you realize that you're restricted. This is not really your why, and you need to find that next level thing. Then you're going to find out who on your team has that level of maturity to help you drill down on understanding what that is. So not a hard and fast rule to that, but you need to understand the maturity of your team before you bring them into these exercises, because these are the foundational cornerstones of the business.
That's a really good point. Sometimes, to your point, they could be immature for a variety of reasons. I know exactly what you're saying too. That's nothing against skill set or quality. Could be a new team to where they haven't really gelled yet. But I do think over time, the importance of the clarity of your vision, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone has to be able to see that. They have to know what it is.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because we have a built-in sort of upgrade mechanism to what we do. So we installed something in our business, and now it's in all of our clients' businesses, called Vision Day. Now, it's not a full day. Don't freak out. It's actually just about an hour. We do it 6 times a year. So every other month. We'll do it starting in February, and then we'll go all throughout the year, end in December. And what we do is we, for 1 hour, read our vision story, like reading time in elementary school. We just read it. There's no fireworks. There's no nothing. We just read it and just go back through it. Why? Is because the repetition allows for reminding, and that repetition and reminding, eventually it begins to just wash over us, and all of a sudden we start to remember the vision. Why? Is because we're going over it over and over and over again. So what we've done now is I'll actually record my overview of the vision on a little Loom video. I'll send it out to the team a few days before and say, hey, listen to this before our Vision Day. And then we'll get to Vision Day. For us, it's always on a Thursday at 3:00 in the afternoon. We'll get to a Vision Day, and I'll start the meeting out this way. I'll say, hey guys, you listened over the vision. What thoughts, questions, clarifying ideas, additions, deletions, what did you see? What did you hear? And now the team is involved with shaping the vision. I created it. In fact, I will say this about vision that's different than mission and values. I never want anybody other than the owner creating the vision. And if you have multiple owners, then you got to do the hard work of all of you getting on the same page. Because the proverb is true in 2 ways. There's a proverb that says this: where there is no vision, people scatter. I would also argue this: where there is multiple visions, or where there are multiple visions, people scatter equally. And they will begin to scatter out there as well. So if you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 partners, my first bit of encouragement to you is good luck. My second is, I'm just sort of teasing. My second is, your vision needs to be unified. It's got to be one unified vision. And then once you've got that, as you read over it throughout the year, and I would encourage at least 4 times a year to have some sort of gathering to where you read through the vision top to bottom. Everybody's going to roll their eyes. That's okay. It's no big deal. And then you read back through that vision, and it's going to create clarity and invite feedback. And when you get the feedback, they will now help you shape the vision. You created it, but they'll help shape it over time.
again, I think gaining the clarity around what that vision is, and then that way, every time you expand your organization, you add someone to the team, it's going to be very easy for them to be brought into that vision.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're doing the other things that you talked about, and you've got the core values, the assumption is people are going to be the right fit to start with. But the sooner that they can have that clarity and see what the vision is, I mean, let's face it, that's the motivator for everybody to get up in the morning, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. And that motivation, Duane, where we've got to be really, really clear is if you've got somebody listening to this that is a true craftsman that owns their business, they're going to be listening to this and going, no. We need to talk about, mill techniques and all this other stuff. And I would say, yes, absolutely. You need to talk about those techniques. You need to talk about quality. You need to talk about everything with excellence in the product side of your business. And and I want to remind you that your product is not your product. Your process is your product. That's what we're buying. I can buy millwork anywhere from a lot of different people. And please don't be offended, but it's really a commodity because if I show up in most custom homes, I look at the millwork and go, wow, I have no idea who milled that. I have no idea who trimmed that house out. But what I do know is the process by which that was done because of schedules, because of material return, whatever. And so you ought to, as a business owner, have the same level of zeal for the vision, mission, values, the hiring process, the team meetings of the business as you do for the product of the business. And if you don't, you are out of alignment and other people are going to suffer. Now, you're going to suffer as well, but other people are going to suffer. And so I think it's important that we understand that what, Duane, you and I are talking about on the vision, mission, values, quote, the soft stuff in the business is as critical. In fact, it is the ultimate handicap of the business when these things don't exist, because now your product exists in a house of cards, and eventually the structure holding up the product will fall, and your product, which you were priding yourself on quality, is actually going to turn into garbage over time because it's not rooted in the motivation of what we're talking about.
I mean, how important do you think it is that, once the why is identified, I mean, to me, that's the thing I think that is the driver that really gets people from owning a job to owning a business.
Yeah.
Because I think without it, without clearly having the vision in place and that communicated to everybody, the why defaults just back to whatever's the most urgent thing today, right?
Yeah. Well, Duane, think about it right now. You and I are sitting here on a particular day at the middle of the day. It's work day right now. I'm not delivering my product right now. You are not delivering your product right now. What do I mean by that? We have people that are delivering the products of what we're doing. There are people on our team that are delivering excellent coaching to clients right now. And it's a trustworthy process. Here's why. We actually have a new coach coming on at the end of this month. It's a trustworthy process is because we've got every bit of our vision, mission, values, our hiring process, our team meetings, our process roadmaps, our org charts, our job roles. We've even got a glossary of term for the construction industry. 81% of our clients are in construction, architecture, engineering, that segment. And we've got all of this stuff mapped out so that new coach coming on, he's got a background in a lot of these things already, but he doesn't have a background in how we deliver it. And so we're going to be training him on how we deliver it. We're going to be training him on our vision. And I'm not going to spend hardly any time with him because I've already done it. I've done it in videos. I've done it in training Thomas, our director of coaching. So now Thomas runs that entire process. So I can be here with you and we can be having this conversation for the benefit of other people. But if I couldn't be here with you, then our message would not be amplified to other people because I'd just be focused on one thing. That's what makes a business, is the fact that I'm not delivering the product.
Yeah. Again, that's like I said, I think that big shift from owning a job, self-employed, to a true business owner.
That's right.
So let's, this has been some great info for people that are either starting a business or, hey, just looking back to say, hey, you know what, I'm 5 years in, 10 years in, but I never really did focus on, the vision thing and getting some of these things clear. Let's say they go through that and they do get some alignment around mission, core values, vision. What does a business owner need to have in place to check themselves?
So we built a tool, I don't know, it's probably 3 years ago. And I'll go ahead and warn everybody, it was on a really, really expensive piece of software called a spreadsheet. And so if you can master the expensive spreadsheet from Google Sheets or Microsoft or Excel or whatever, then you can master this tool. And I'll lay out exactly how we built it. We took the weeks of the year across the top horizontal axis. So, week 1 is January 1, week 2 is January 8, week 3 is January 15, all the way out through the end of the year. Then we took all those ingredients that it takes to build great culture. And I'm not talking about beanbag chairs and soda fountains on, in the break room and lunch on Fridays. I'm not talking about that. That stuff's great. It's fine. Do it if you want.
Ping pong tables only go so far. Yeah,
that's right. I'm talking about the core elements, reviewing vision so that everybody remembers it, reviewing mission and values on a regular basis so everybody knows how to align their stuff, ensuring that team meetings get done according to a leader and an agenda and a time frame, ensuring that executive leader meetings are being followed based on their agenda and their time frame, assuring that one-on-one check-ins are done with every team member at least once a month, ensuring that performance reviews are being completed on time by the end of the thing, that we're doing budgeting, I could go through a whole laundry list of things that we want to make sure get done on a regular basis. Duane, your question was, how does an owner, an entrepreneur hold themselves accountable to that? If you can take the weeks of the year and all the ingredients you have to get done as the owner of the business and put them on the vertical axis on the left-hand side, and then just at the beginning, or actually at the end of this year, as you go into next year, and you can do it now for anybody who's a little bit late on that, you go in and you literally plan out your year according to those things that are there. If you have a weekly team meeting every week, then put a little X in every single box of that week. If you have an executive meeting once a month, then put an X in one box, skip 3 weeks, put another box, skip 3 weeks, and go all throughout. And then every single week you open up that spreadsheet and you ask yourself, where am I? Did we do this thing? Or did we not do this thing? You have to have a reckoning with yourself. But most of us can't do it without some sort of in-your-face tool to be able to do that. And you don't have to buy expensive software for it. Put it on a spreadsheet, open it up every Monday before you get started, and you're making a declaration to your business that I am not here to serve you. You are here, business, not people, business to serve me. And so I'm going to put this business in a position to where I'm not a slave to the business, but the business is going to be a servant to me and what I want to accomplish in this world that I'm looking to serve.
So how do you keep the clarity and the focus on your why? What do you do on a regular basis with your team?
Yeah, I wish I could give you some grand thing that's far off of what we do. The beauty about our business is whatever tools we build for our clients, we have to drink the Kool-Aid ourselves because it's good organizational leadership. So we do have a multi-page vision story that's written down. We do have a less than 10-word mission statement. We've got 5 unique core values. In fact, our team, going back to team shaping values, our team has come up with our last 2. We've actually retired 2 of our core values. One of those was big wins. Every meeting we have, every coaching meeting, every team meeting, every meeting we have starts with big wins. And so we retired big wins, but we put it in an emeritus status. We actually looked this up. We're geeks around this stuff, but we looked it up. And an emeritus position at like a university is somebody who's retired, but still with some sort of influence and honor. And so our big win core value went into the emeritus category, which made way for a new core value this past year. And it's called 8515. It's the name of the core value. And by the way, a good unique core value requires explanation. You need to explain it because it reinforces it to yourself and to the person listening. And so what 8515 means is simply business on purpose is going to provide you, BOP team member, with 85% of what you need. But we will never be able to get to 100%. That's why we have you, is you're going to have to take the 85 that we provide and take it the rest of the 15 yards to get to the end zone. And so our team came up with that core value and really began to shape that. So we take our vision, our mission, our values, we review them every other month, as I mentioned. We have a culture calendar that we review every single Tuesday. By the way, I don't lead any of this except the vision part of it. So our team meeting is led by somebody else. The culture calendar is pulled up by somebody else. Our coaches meeting is by somebody else. And then we have scorecards for every team member on our team. And they have to pull that scorecard up every Monday morning. So you and I are recording on a Monday. So this morning, all of our team members, including me, I have my own owner scorecard, just so you know. And so every Monday morning, we pull up our scorecards, and those are the things that keep us on track. It's not perfect, but I would say it's 85% to where it needs to be.
Yeah,
based on what we've built.
It's a habit. You created a healthy habit, which everybody should, as business owners, teammates. It's a great way to hold one another accountable. And hey, it's a great opportunity to look back at what you've accomplished.
And nobody wakes up on Monday and asks, what should I do today?
Yeah.
Just think about it. The last job you hated going to. Why did you hate it? Well, primarily, it wasn't just that person that you didn't like. It was the fact that that person did not bring you clarity. In fact, I could make the argument that if they would have just brought you clarity, you would have actually liked them more, even though they weren't like you. And they're probably a jerk. But you would have liked them more because they cared enough to bring you some clarity.
Yeah, very cool. So tell me, what's for you personally, professionally, something exciting that's coming up here in 2024?
Man, we're headed towards our vision. I mean, that's the thing that's getting us going. Is we've got this new coach coming on, and by the middle of 2025, we should be at our vision of 8 coaches serving 120 clients. We just added that exit planning advisory credential to our scope and what we're offering, which is of huge value because, as I mentioned, a lot of our clients have been with us a long time, which means their businesses have grown exponentially. And now they're starting to think about exit, not exiting the business full scope, but maybe 5 years or 10 years from now. Some are pretty close to that, but some are 5, 10, 15 years out. And that's the perfect time to start doing some exit planning and some transition planning so that we can get a baseline value of the business and then accelerate that value over time. And so that's been pretty exciting. That was oh my gosh, Duane, I have not taken it was a 3.5 hour proctored exam. I had a bottled water, 1 sheet of paper, and an empty room. And it was off. I've not taken an exam like that since grad school. And but I was glad to get that one behind us. And so now we're on and doing a bunch of these business valuations as well.
Yeah, congrats, man. That's very cool. And you've got it's exciting what you've got coming up. And wish you all the best on that. And for folks that are watching, how can they learn a little bit more about you, connect with you?
Yeah, go take some action. We've actually got a cool assessment online. You can go check us out at our website, but if you go to mybusinessonpurpose.com/healthy, you can actually take a 5 to 7 minute back-end assessment of the health of your business. And it's going to grade you on vision, mission, values, org charts, job roles, all the core stuff that you should be doing as an owner working on the business. And you'll get a number, you'll get a numerical value, and it just gives you sort of a sobering moment to determine where you're at. So yeah, that's where people can go learn. We like for folks to take action. So just go to mybusinessonpurpose.com/healthy.
Well, thanks again, Scott. Really appreciate all that you do and for taking some time to join us today. That is a wrap. Thanks for watching. Please reach out to us with any comments. You can learn more at custombuilderonline.com or hit me up, Duane Johns at buildernuggets.com, or you can find me directly on LinkedIn and Instagram.